All right, you guys, it's like 10:30 right now, but I originally was planning on doing this after my teaching ICA earlier, but then I had some other things pop up, so I had to run out for some basketball things, and then now I'm back home. So what I wanted to do was go over a couple requests that you guys had. Just make sure you guys are updated as to what's going on. All right. Now, what I did want to really quickly, this is a weekly SPY chart. You know, what I was doing was getting something ready for the other class, the new classes. And I just wanted to give you this resistance line here, okay? You can even say it's as far back as something like this, okay? Because what you have in the past is, right, all of these respects it, peaks out, respects it, stays below, peaks out, comes back down below. Now this becomes support. All right, so it's really interesting how that's bounced off of there in terms of the big picture. Okay. SPY, what I do want to point out, if we go in a bit closer to where we're at right now, you know, we understand the original expectation of the fact that we're in this downtrend, we're still in a bear market. That is now just a rally until we can break out of that downtrend. We do have Jerome speaking on Friday, so keep that in mind. That's going to be a catalyst for the market. Some, you know, we'll get some movement. Usually you should expect it to be a little bit bullish when Jerome Powell speaks, because you know he's very careful with his words not to spook the markets in certain ways. But you know, again, what he has to say is what you know everybody's awaiting. We'll see. So we have broken down, like I said, it's important to understand how we're at this relief area. But let's do this for you guys real quick. I'm just going to pull up my stochastic that Chef color coded for me. And here's what I want you to see, okay? Right now, with this drop, this is the 1 hour chart. What does the 1 hour chart show me here? Okay, we're starting, you know, similar prices in terms of right here, but then we are starting to show a little bit of divergence. Not the best, but it is something to realize. It's already showing on the 1 hour. The 2 hour chart, it is now down extremely far down below, right? And if you notice, it is an area that we do like to bounce from when my stochastic shows us this far down, okay? So right now with where we're at, let me draw a couple other quick resistance lines for you guys. Okay. And I want to point out that this little box, now we're back into it, right? So peaked out above, hit the resistance, rejected. We do have this gap up above us right here that I want to point out. And technically a little gap right here as well. Okay, so you know, gaps don't have to get filled right away, but if I were to be, you know, give you a little prediction here, the low end I would probably say is around here. We could still go down toward, but I'm expecting that we're going to get some sort of relief here. So, you know, maybe a little bit further down, but I do think we're going to go and try to test that gap. And then potentially revert down from there or revert from further up. Retest it a second time. Okay. Sentiment, it's hard to say right now because everybody's trying to predict what the Fed's going to do. Now, that does come down to things like CPI data, whether or not inflation has peaked. And another part of it is the whole point of how the Fed is trying to reduce their balance sheet, meaning they're trying to reduce the amount of money circulating within the economy, and by taking it out of circulation, it causes that inflation to come back down. And so they do plan on going heavy in that quantitative tightening, which is what it's called. That cycle is supposed to kick into full gear in September. So keep that in mind. That in itself is a bearish type of thing. So ultimately, the hard part again, like I want to point out, is that how much of this has the market already priced in? But when you think about this rally that we've had, it's been a pretty significant rally that has jumped up from these lows. It's been over a month of rallying. Okay, so the Elliott wave theory, real quickly though, is that we got the 1, 2, and that here we could be making a 3, 4, and then maybe a potential 5 to test something like to up here or so. Okay, so that would break us out of the channel, but it doesn't put us all the way out of the clear just yet. But there are people calling for us to make a wave 5 and potentially head up further from there. But keep in mind, if this wave 2 down here was just a simple A, B, C correction, okay, and then you got a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up in here as well, this could be another A, B, C, or we could have something a little bit more complex, a little triangular situation maybe that takes out a little bit more time. So keep an eye on that. All right, those are very good possibilities, especially with the way that this entire area right here is kind of a decision-making battle area. You can imagine bears and bulls have been fighting back and forth for quite a bit, even since back here too. Okay, and you see where that white line kind of comes from in the middle here. Okay, so in addition, what I wanted to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about AMD, because that was something that Justin was asking about. He was trying to see if this was a potential Wyckoff accumulation. And well, let's do that. Let's copy over some things in here. Okay. And I was kind of looking at it, and I do notice it too a little bit. It's hard to tell if we're still early, but if I were to, so I'm not quite sure if we're in a spring. So there's 2 ways we could line this up. Let me do this. So it's a little more transparent. Okay, so we got a little further out to get a better volume analysis here. Okay, there we go. What I want to point out is, do we have a significant selling climax? That's going to be the first thing that I kind of want to look for. Do we have this selling climax? A selling climax, you're going to see price come down significantly and a large amount of volume. So a large amount of volume, large amount of volume. You could argue this could be, an initial one, but this turned into a continue to distribute further. Then what that would mean is that this could be a PSY, and then this could be your selling climax, because this isn't the selling climax. If you imagine, it might just simply be a secondary test. Okay, because keep in mind, take a look here. A selling climax and secondary test, right? Selling climax, secondary test, that's perfectly fine. So we might just be doing this to go back toward the top of our channel. Okay, here, let me label this into my actual charts here so that we can, if I were to say selling climax, then our preliminary supply back there means that this is going to be our trading range, right? Okay, let's try to label this here. But our preliminary supply. The first area, you do have decent amount of volume here, okay? So that's the first area where you have buyers and sellers start to argue over things, right? That's this, okay? Then I want to call this my selling climax because we hit this bottom, okay? And we have an automatic reaction and then a secondary test. So automatic reaction, secondary test, go higher, right? Break out of the channel, right? You see that? Test the preliminary supply. And then we zigzag down and now we secondary test lower. Okay, let's go ahead and label those. Then there you can see we have this rally back, right? Rally back. And so what do I expect us to do now? Well, judging by this as well, you can imagine, right, that yellow line and this white line. If that's similar, then what that just means is this is now going to, there's two possibilities I want to keep in mind. This light blue path, right? Because we're coming up here, now coming back down. The light blue path would be more of a, potentially retest these here, just wouldn't go nearly as far down. You're going to run out of sellers in this range. Okay, I would say in this range is where we're going to run out of sellers, and it should head back up from there. Okay, so that would be that blue, and you're looking for that last point of supply, right? Now there is still the possibility, and this I would say would be more due to, not due to the fact of the company itself, but maybe due to macroeconomic reasons, is this green version, this zigzag down here where it says spring. That could still potentially happen. I want to be aware of that. Okay, let's color code this real quick. Where did it go? There we go. Okay, so if we do, there is that spring possibility that can still happen, but I think that has more to do with big picture macroeconomic reasons. Interest rates continue to be raised, potentially the fact that the inflation hasn't peaked for some reason, etc. That would be more of the reason why we'd head down further right now. In terms of the company itself, I could see if we might potentially start to run out of sellers. And there also is, just like with SPY, you got this 1, 2, you could call 3, 4, 5, right? And if you look at that, you already are doing this ABC correction. Now, it's very possible, I think we could do another ABC correction, and that would just link us into some sort of double combo, okay? I think after that, then we potentially start another leg up. It's also possible that right now with where we're at, there's a triangular type of correction too instead. So we might be doing something like this before we decide and head further up from there. Okay, so the volume that we have here, I like it. It is, let's see, if we were to go and put this even further back, is it possible to say that this is a secondary test and this, we have a preliminary supply up here? I don't really see it that way. And I also do want to point out, if you look at this on the weekly, it's kind of making this really ugly head and shoulders look too, with kind of like that hypodermic top, is what it's called. But yeah, it's The volume here, the buyout volume here is looking good though. So it does show strength, that's the thing. But I don't think we're necessarily done yet. I think we still have a little lower to test out before it could head further up, okay? Now in the Wyckoff reading that I did post, you guys can also look in there and try to compare a little bit more in detail. I'll do a little more later. I didn't want to take too long today, but that's my AMD prediction. Let's quickly look into a few of the previous ones that we've looked at. Here, let's go in. I think I put it under screenshots. Okay, we'll do SPY, we'll do Roblox. Oh, we'll take a peek at the VIX. I need to show that to you guys before I log off. This thing will load. There we go. Okay. So real quick, because, oh, there we go, find the Roblox. Dang, Roblox just dropped from there, right? You pretty much did say, remember what we were talking about, how we were getting overextended. Remember it was around here. There was a first drop and then it showed lower, it showed more divergence. Do you see that? And as a result, we got a big sell-off afterwards, right? That pop after earnings had more to do with macroeconomic reasons, remember? It had more to do with the fact that there was the better employment numbers and the CPI and that type of, or not the CPI, the, shoot, what was it that happened at the end of last week? Shoot, it's getting late. I'll post what it was again, but again, we had macroeconomic reasons for that pop, and right now this sell-off is also, you know, after testing the top of that channel, and again, earnings weren't that great. So Roblox coming back down now, close to the 0.5. If it does break further down, look for that 0.618 type of range, which actually will coincide with a bit of the resistances down back here. Okay. All right, let's talk about that. Oh, VIX. And then I'll do another video tomorrow, you guys. But I got a call from the basketball coach saying they wanted me to meet somebody over at the gym, and I had to run out earlier today. So, okay, here, the VIX. Our VIX popped and broke that channel. And do you see how that created the downfall or the drop in our markets there? So, you know, keep in mind, we were relaxing. It started to curl here, started to curl up a little bit. And at the end of the day, we had this pop through. And keep in mind, anytime we break through and we pop through, we usually relax a little bit and then have another shot off, right? So anytime we do break through, a little bit bigger breakout, you know? So usually starts off slow. And keep that in mind. There are a couple things that are out in the horizon in the next 30 days to 60 days. You can imagine that are linked to, you know, China with their mortgage default possibilities, the whole, you know, there's a lot of issues abroad and with other countries. And that's actually causing the dollar, the DXY, to pop higher, okay? Keep an eye on this guy. Look at the dollar is going higher and higher. If we break above this right here, our markets are gonna go down, okay? So you should do this. Set an alert for when the dollar breaks up above those previous highs. And you can see we're sitting at this resistance. We're, you know, this right here, it's still going up. So that hasn't broken yet either, okay? You know, if it just shows resistance comes back down, the markets can rally a bit, but right now this isn't exactly looking too great, okay? All right, it's 20 minutes. I don't want to go over more than that. I hope that was useful for you guys. If you guys have other questions, go ahead and post them in the Discord. More than happy to post additional charts, help you guys out and get that done for you, okay? I will do my best to record another one tomorrow, closer to when the market closes, so you guys can have an update then. But I won't be able to do it necessarily at 6:30 like I usually do, because I am teaching the ICA class right now. So, all right, hope to talk to you guys soon. Have a great day trading, you guys.